All right, let's talk about January 2026. On the surface, it probably just felt like the start of any other year. But when you look back, it was way more than that. It was this inflection point, a moment where these huge, seemingly separate stories, I'm talking space, tech, finance, they all just started to crash into each other and become one big thing.
So first you had what was happening in space. NASA was getting everything ready for Artemis II. And this wasn't just another rocket launch, not by a long shot. This was a huge statement. We're talking about humanity's first crewed mission to go beyond low Earth orbit in over 50 years. It was basically signaling a whole new era of ambition and exploration.
Okay, so while that was happening, you had the annual Consumer Electronics Show, CES, and it was just buzzing. But here's the thing. This year felt different. AI wasn't just some little category on the side. No way. It was the very heart of, well, everything. It was inside the cars, it was in the kitchen appliances, it was powering the robots. This was that intelligent future we've been talking about, suddenly becoming very, very real.
And then you had Wall Street. After being pretty quiet for a few years, January just exploded with these massive multi-billion-dollar mergers. Analysts were actually calling it the Great Unlocking. You had these giant companies making these incredibly bold bets, and it signaled a huge strategic shift in the whole global economy.
So, you've got a moon mission, a tech explosion, and a Wall Street buying spree. I mean, they seem totally disconnected, right? But they're not. There's this hidden thread that ties them all together, one single engine driving this whole convergence. So the big question we have to ask is, what is it?
Well, that connecting thread, that engine, it all comes down to one thing: the absolutely insatiable global demand for artificial intelligence. We're talking about a need for computing power that's so enormous, it's literally starting to bend the physical world and the financial markets to its will.
And if you want to get a sense of the scale here, just look at the money. NVIDIA announced plans to invest a jaw-dropping $100 billion into OpenAI. And this isn't just for writing better code. This is about building the actual, physical stuff, the massive data centers you need to power the next generation of AI.
And it wasn't just NVIDIA. Not at all. Google was pouring $9 billion into brand new advanced AI data centers out in Oklahoma. And you have to understand, these aren't just server farms anymore. Think of them as the new factories of the 21st century, engineered to handle these insane computational loads 24/7.
This relentless focus was summed up perfectly at CES 2026 by AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su. She said, "AI is everywhere and for everyone." And that really hits the nail on the head. This wasn't some niche tech trend anymore. It was a fundamental shift, and it had the momentum to reshape literally every single industry.
Okay, but here's the catch. This digital explosion, it comes with a physical world price tag. A really, really big one. And this brings us to our first critical connection: the staggering cost in both energy and physical infrastructure that's needed to power all of this intelligence.
And at the very center of this demand is a completely new kind of building, the hyperscale AI data center. MIT Technology Review actually listed it as a breakthrough technology for 2026, and not just because it's huge, but because the whole architecture is revolutionary. But, and this is a huge but, as MIT pointed out, it comes with an absolutely staggering energy cost.
And right here, you can see that connection between the digital world and the physical world in black and white. On one side, you've got AI's relentless need for 24/7 clean power. And on the other side, the market's response. Look at this, a massive energy deal. Constellation Energy spent over $26 billion just to become the #1 provider of the exact kind of zero-emission power these data centers are crying out for. It's a perfect line of cause and effect.
In fact, financial analysts even gave this whole phenomenon a name: the energy tech nexus. This is that moment where private equity, giant utility companies, and big tech all got tangled up together, pulled into the same orbit by the sheer gravitational force of AI's hunger for energy.
So this massive build-out of physical infrastructure, it leads us directly to the next point of convergence: the battle for control. Because once you have the hardware being built, a new race begins, a global race to own the data that feeds the AI, to write the rules that govern it, and ultimately to gain geopolitical leverage from it. And just look at how fast this all started happening.
I mean, in a span of just a few months, you're seeing legal fights over data scraping, you have the US finalizing new cybersecurity standards, China is pushing hundreds of its own models through official government channels, and even foundational knowledge sources like Wikipedia are striking new licensing deals for their data. It's this frantic scramble to set the rules of the game for this new era.
And that race has a very sharp geopolitical edge to it. Take this, for example. The Chinese firm DeepSeek, they managed to train a breakthrough AI model for 70% less than what it costs for a comparable US model. Now, this isn't just about who has the better tech, it's about economic efficiency, and that represents a direct challenge to Western dominance in what's becoming a foundational technology for the entire world.
So let's start to pull these threads together, right? You've got this incredible demand for AI that's driving a boom in physical infrastructure. That boom is then sparking a global battle for control over data and the rules. But the end game here isn't just about better software. It's about building an entirely new foundational layer for our physical world.
And that brings us right back to where we started, Artemis II. It's time to look at that mission in a new light. It's not just some separate story about going to space. It's a symbol of the exact same infrastructural ambition that's driving the AI boom right here on Earth. It's a grand, expensive, nation-defying project to build out the next frontier.
And this is the ultimate payoff of that new reality. All that digital intelligence we've been talking about, it's now climbing off the screen and moving into our physical world. We're talking about LG's robot doing laundry in your home, Boston Dynamics Atlas working in a factory, Caterpillar's AI helping to operate massive construction equipment, and NVIDIA's models giving cars the ability to actually reason. The digital infrastructure is, in a way, coming alive.
So here's the bottom line. The convergence of intelligence, energy, and finance. It's not just another business trend. It's the literal construction of a new reality. And it leaves us with the one fundamental question that's going to define the rest of this decade. As all these powerful forces merge together, who's actually holding the blueprints to our future?